There, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Kai Shulin project, where last time we finally finished the painting. It took about twice as long as the Bang Shishigami one, but we got it done. It looks really good. I'm liking this. I love how the whole thing came out. So really, with the model and the painting now done, the only thing left to worry about is the base. And so today is going to be all about that. And I think I finally figured out what I want to do for that. Well, I know I did because I'm already planned out what I'm doing today. And I'm going to try to combine kind of the standard base looking kind of circle ovalish base with kind of a little bit of that dusty part in the middle. So if you will excuse the slightly older image coming up, because this is the one I've been kind of photoshopping off of to get an idea of what I want. So what I'm thinking of doing on here is adding, like I said, kind of the traditional, I'm using hand gestures now, that doesn't help. So I'm thinking of doing the traditional, like I said, the circular outline, which if we go back here, I'm going to paint that part black, and that will then kind of match up, the black on the border will match up with the dark colors on here. And then the sandy center part from there is then going to bring back this kind of sandy, kind of rustic area in the middle. So we're going to get kind of the best of both worlds, a little bit of the real world stuff and a little bit of the traditional base looking. It should be really easy, it should be really quick, but we're going to see how that goes. That said, in order to make this kind of design, I'm going to need to use a couple tools. I'm going to need I'm going to need a jigsaw. I'm going to need a router. I'm going to need a sander. I'm going to need a Dremel. I'm going to need a bunch of actual kind of power tools to do this. So rather than do this inside, because again, I live in an apartment, which would be kind of awkward to do that in here. It's going to make a lot of noise. Especially the router is going to make a lot of dust and debris and all that. So rather than do that inside, I'm going to cut the camera here. And I'm just going to do this right outside. Do everything out there, then we can come back inside and finish off the little details. But hang tight. When we come back, I'm going to be outside and we're going to start actually forming this thing. So hold on, and until then. Hey there, we're back. Let me double check we are. Yes, I am recording. And we're now outside. And I got myself kind of a little jig here set up. I'm kind of set up on top of a bucket in a corner because basically, all my tools are actually the main project right now. So I have my tools, I don't have sawhorses or any of that to work with. So we're going to make do. That said, I have no idea how volume is going to come out on this. This could be interesting. But, yeah, let's try to center you a little bit more. Give me 1 second, I have my gloves on and all that. Let me just get a couple things set up off here. Alright, we are good to go. Again, this should be pretty quick, but we'll see. We have our rough shape there. Let's go, before we route the stuff out, I'm going to smooth this off just a little bit, so at least we have an actual oval going on here, which will be good. So this one is take out any kind of little rough sections that are on here. That at least takes off the rough sections on this, so at least we have an actual oval shape. Before we go into the big kind of nasty one we need to get done, let's see, 2 cords going out here. Don't need that cord. Now we do need the router, so I gotta plug that in. And the cord for this thing is gigantic, so don't need it that big. But okay, this guy's been known every now and again the routing bit sometimes creeps down, but I'm hoping with a small enough piece here, it's pine, this shouldn't be an issue. And I'm using a bit that's going to give just a nice little detail on the edge and nothing more than that. So apologize for the noise on this one. If anything, this is going to be the noisy guy. Alright, going back to you to kind of take out any little oddities that were on here that I can now see that I couldn't see before. Alright, so that gives us the basic outline of the base. Now we're going to do a little more than that, because now I want to give this thing maybe like 3/16 or something of a perimeter here. Once again, I'm just eyeballing things. For what I'm doing, I feel very kind of comfortable with that. I would like to actually have this line drawn out right now. I couldn't draw this before because we routed this smaller than what we have. So, and I'm actually going to route out the center just a little bit. I'm going to drop this center part down so it reads like we have a border and then there's the sandy kind of surface filling in the middle. Now I can't route this down too much because if I do that, then the 2 wires, I have the 2 rods coming out of the feet, are going to come out the bottom. So I'm only going to do a really kind of little bit on this. I don't want to have to bring out my grinder and grind those things down. So I already have enough tools I'm using here. Don't need to do any more. Alright, so if we have that. Okay, so changing out a blade on here. The very first thing you do is you unplug the cord. We do not keep that cord in here. You don't keep things plugged in when you're changing bits. That's just part of how that works. Now I'm going to go push down on the button. It just did a little, actually. This guy's, okay, so I'm pushing down on the button, spin that comes out. Now we're going to add this big old fat guy in. Now this one had, you see the wheel on the side kept it from coming in any further than this. That's why I just kind of went around super fast. This one doesn't have that. So this one we do need to be a little careful on. Make sure it's super tight. Okay, and I only want to go down just kind of a little bit. Now we can kind of, we can move it up and down easily with that, and this just kind of fine tunes everything. And I will, once again, always turn this the wrong way the first time. It is, I'm just wired to do that with everything, always. Too deep, too deep, too deep. good. You're looking at the bald spot on my head. Okay, we want basically just enough to make it feel like it's dropped a little bit. I really don't want to go too far, because like I said, the more we go down here, the less support I'm actually going to have on the model. So we're just going a little bit. Also helps to plug it back in again when you want to use it. That's a super good idea as well. All right, there we go. This one I'm going to fine tune with a Dremel afterwards. And there we go. On this we have, it's a little rough in here. That's 100% fine, because again, we're going to be doing kind of a sandy base. I'm going to be roughing this up anyway. And the reason I went kind of back and forth rather than just kind of round it inside is we always need room for this to sit on top of as we go. So you have to work from one side to the other. So the edge is a little rough. Again, I'm going to do that with the Dremel. And basically everything else that I can do with the Dremel inside. So I'm going to turn this off, clean everything out here. I'm going to meet you back inside. So this has been good. Hold tight. See you soon. All right. And with that, back inside. Kind of de-dusted all this a little bit. It looks we have kind of the shape we're going for. It's a little rough on the inside. It's a lot easier to get kind of fine tuning with this than it is with the router. So I'm just going to do a little fine tuning here, probably round off this outer edge just a little, so that has a little bit of a kind of curve to it. The inside I want to keep straight. And then as you can see, the sheen, as I'm moving around, you can see the sheen. This isn't nice and smooth inside. That's 100% fine. That's good. Again, we have a sandy base, so I don't want this to be 100% smooth. They can have the kind of little undulations. I may add a little more with this. 2 little dots here that popped up, but that I'd kind of missed on the first time. So we'll kind of grind those guys down. But for right now, I just want to smooth out the inside here and get this kind of looking good. So I forgot to start my stopwatch, so I have an idea of how long I've been. All right, so let's do a little bit of this. You know how loud the Dremel is, so be prepared. Again, the end of this can burn the wood, that's fine, it's all being painted. So yeah, so really it's one of those you can kind of buy your own. You go to like any kind of arts and crafts kind of store, they kind of sell base pieces you can use. They're probably like $5, $6, $7 a piece, depending on the size you want. Or you take like another half hour or so, like I'm doing here, and you just make your own, kind of make it whatever you want it to be. So, yes, I could have the store-bought one, but this one, I think it's going to look good in the end. There are other places I can put the money towards. Again, if you're only into doing clay work, this may not be for you. It's like, oh, if you're dealing with wood, no. You do need a base level of investment just to have the materials to do this with. But once you kind of have the materials, I'm very lightly hitting this, so I don't want to go too far. It kind of opens up a lot of possibilities that you can do this stuff yourself. Now granted, some of that will depend on where you live, what access you have to areas where they will allow you to do this kind of thing and make the noise and get stuff done. But I've yet to have any complaints for doing kind of these wood projects, so until that kind of happens, I'm kind of okay with where we are. This probably would have been easier doing the orbital sander that I had outside when I was out there. I'm not gonna lie. Oh well. Alright, let's bop these 2 little spots here. We don't want those 2 little spots sticking up. This is more just kind of roughing it up a little bit than anything else. This is not smoothing anything. Okay, so that roughs it up quite a bit. I'm trying to see if we can get some glare off of that. It feels very rough, which again is what we're going for. And I have a couple pieces of sandpaper here to kind of give a final the inside can be rough. The outside here I do want to have smooth. Now you will notice there's still a whole bunch of holes in here. I've moved things around. Actually, I've been using the same holes the entire time. I just made new ones that are more centered on this piece for the final. So we will deal with that in a sec. Just give it a moment. Oh, dust everywhere. Once again, vacuum is going to be coming out in full force after this thing is done. Or after this session is over. Okay, it's feeling nice and smooth now. There might be little kind of variations in here. Now, again, you can see some areas with pencil marks, some without, so that's kind of giving a visual that this may not be good. But once we paint over all of that, that should kind of resolve itself. Now, in case we dipped some of the corners here with that, I'm just kind of smoothing out those parts. And again, if I see any specific spot that's kind of sticking out, at this point now I can do it with a hand sanding. Nope, you're actually the finer one. Let's turn you. Let's go that way so we have fresh paper that's actually hitting it. We do have a little bit of a dip right in there, which is kind of unfortunate because that's the front. Okay, that kind of took care of that. Okay, we're feeling okay. A little bit of a bop out right there. Now, a lot of the kind of dips and stuff on here is the jigsaw. It's not a scroll saw. Scroll saw is attached on top and bottom and goes up and down. Jigsaw is only attached on the top. So sometimes it gets kind of twisted a little to the side or a little this side. And if there's a little bit of a twist and I put the router on top, that's going to make little kind of issues with the routing. So that's where a number of these kind of little dips and stuff came from. Just the nature of using a jigsaw when making the thing. Now I notice I have no little scuff marks out here. Whoa, hello. I do want to see just that everything at least has something going on this. Like I said, just kind of scuffing it up. And then this is just take the super hard edges off the top. I don't necessarily want it that bad. We want a little bit of something going on, but not crazy like kind of going on. Alright, so how are we looking? We're looking not too bad. It's still kind of flat up here, which is kind of what we want. I'm looking at the image on the side. It is very kind of flat and smooth. Do I have a better bit on here that I can just kind of rough stuff up with? Not really. I do have a bigger box too. I've got the bigger box of stuff as well. It's just they generally have the same things in them. So let's see. Okay, that's not going to work. You're a broken bit. You're a broken bit. And that has nothing on it. Okay, so never mind. Let's see. Let me extend that out just a little ways and kind of give them a little more. Just give a little more of like a ridge or two kind of in here. You get one or two kind of more pronounced ridges that kind of start in here. Do that, we kind of want to round off a little bit of an edge. At least I'll give a couple. You can kind of almost sort of see things in here. Let me just kind of dumb it down a little bit. Alright, kind of rough that up a little bit and kind of. So it's either going flat or intentionally kind of going down. So right now I'm just evening out some of these a little bit so it's not as in your face. I want things to be a little more subtle. But then once we get that in, then we tilt down and kind of rough it up a little bit as we were kind of doing before. sorry about that. Ooh, sorry. That could be random. Usually I have about 5 random sneezes. I never get sick. I think I've missed work twice in the last 20 years because of sickness. It's because I've lost my voice for 2 days randomly, and even that was like over 10 years ago. Otherwise, yeah, I generally don't get sick, but I have like at least 5 sneezes per day that kind of randomly come in. But now if we can kind of see a little bit of kind of a play going on here. So it's not just a flat. There's at least a little interest going on the ground. What do we got? We're at half hour. Wow. They're thereabouts. Let's continue this all the way kind of to the edge. Yeah, it's like kind of doing, rough it up like that, and you just kind of do a rough sanding, that kind of evens everything out. But that's kind of in there. A little bit more of just whoop, 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 whoop. I'm gonna go ahead and say this guy is looking pretty okay. I think I kind of want to stop the video here. I might do a couple little, I still see a couple little bumps on here. I'll kind of smooth some things out. I'll probably prime this off camera. You've seen how I prime things. That's kind of a non-issue on this. Then we come back and get it painted up, and that will be the final episode. That'll be the final Kai Shulin project session. So it'll be good. It will be good. She's gonna look good on here. I know it. So hope you enjoy this. I have a lot of this to clean up. A lot of me to clean up as well. And like I said, I'll do just a little more touch-ups on here. Come back. This will be primed. We're gonna go paint it up, and life will be good. So hang tight, and until then, enjoy.